Doing good, man.
Good stuff.
All good here.
Martine.
Doing good here. Excuse me.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start as we do as usual. Any testimonies, anything anybody wants to share um, between now and our last session, which was last Thursday. The floor is open. You can just unmute yourself.
Hey, this Jamal. Since last Thursday, I booked Jamaica for October. It's gonna turn into a girls' trip. Just waiting on the other girls. One young lady went ahead and paid for her room. She's doing a single room. Um, Also, it was something else I booked. Oh, got a young lady down in Panama City today with her family, and got a gentleman reached out. They want to do like a guys trip, so he's trying to pinpoint where the guys want to go. Either it's going to be Dominican Republic or Mexico, or Jamaica being a close third. So and people reaching out for quotes here and there. Just staying steady.
Good stuff. So people are starting to get back out there. Um, Countries opened up over the past couple weeks, past few weeks actually. Uh, so people are starting to trying to get out and get moving. I've seen some posts from some different BDMs and people in the industry over the past week of them actually traveling international and domestically. So, of course, domestic, we still got some issues here as far as the virus itself, but we'll just see what happens. Anybody else want to share anything? So we'll go ahead and get started. I know this evening, I guess Jamal, we want to talk about the poll, right?
Yeah,
Tasha's on.
is she?
Tasha, Miss Tasha Williams.
I don't think Tasha on, man.
Yeah, she's on. Savvy Sisters. She may be.
She might can't talk. She might got background.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't get
Oh,
I
the
couldn't
mute
get
button.
the screen to pop up so that I can unmute my mic.
Is that
Oh,
grease
okay.
frying? I hear grease frying in the background. I'm just teasing with you. Yeah, so we saw that you made a poll, which I thought was a great idea. And we kind of had our hands on a lot of things we want to talk about, but I'm not sure if everybody's in the group. We have a small group tonight. But does anybody have anything they want training on per with Tasha Post? And for those who can't see his creative marketing plan, creating your social media content calendar, how to schedule. Matter of fact, Tasha, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Did you tell the people about your poll? If you don't mind, I feel like I'm just taking it away from you. My apologies.
You're fine. Good evening, everyone. So the purpose of the post and a lot of what I added was the how-to, how to create your marketing campaigns, where Jamal and Maurice do an awesome job of sharing, where you can get the information. But, there's some people that don't have a business page for their Facebook or Instagram. So going through and showing them how to create those, how to create the groups, how to schedule your post. And then the creating a social media content calendar. And so the whole purpose of my post was just to kind of see, where you all would want a 5 or a 10-minute tutorial on how to do these things. And it would, so I would be partnering with Nikki to go through, and if either Jamal or Maurice want to hop in as well, but going through to walk you through how to do any of the items that are listed here, or anything that you may be struggling with in promoting your business or marketing your business. How to go into the insights of your business page and look at the analysis that's there and see how you can best use the information there. So it's just kind of a hands-on, like I said, quick 5 to 10-minute tutorial. And my thought was just to go live in the group so that the videos would be there for you to go back and look at it anytime. But that was the thought process behind it. But if there's anything else that's not listed here that you all may want help with, by all means, feel free to let us know.
It's an awesome idea. Awesome idea.
I think that's a brilliant idea. Being able to, give someone that intimate, you know, training. So I was about to mess it all up. I thought it was something you want to talk about on the Zoom. I guess I'm not real good at comprehension, but that's good. Please feel free to let us know things that you need assistance with. You know, I think I need to get with someone on the creating a marketing campaign. Yeah,
So
schedule
I
it
also
up.
want to add, and then sharing some of the. So I know one of the items that's here is creating business cards, but going through and sharing the do's and don'ts when it comes to business cards, or the do's and don'ts when it comes to flyers. And you'll be getting the information from someone who has over 12, 13 years of experience in doing this. So, I know somebody had posted in there about building websites. Well, um, building websites is, well, for me, it's a little tedious because I do coding, whereas some people they go out grab templates or things of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I've been trained one way, and it's hard to kind of veer away from what you've been trained in doing. Um, but I don't. I mean, I'm not 100% familiar with Wix, and I don't know if Homestead is still around, but sites like that. But I can, sit down and walk you through different things to look for and kind of give you the um, information as to um, what would make things pop as far as colors and things of that nature, and share with you the tools that I've used, the different sites that I go to pull up my different color schemes.
Thank you, Tasha. Hey, I
You're
guess we got
welcome.
to just utilize the resources that we have. That's good. I mean, I didn't know you had that much
De-
experience.
Definitely. Tasha, when are we starting that?
So we're gonna meet this evening to map out a schedule. So my hopes is, if not next, and I was looking at Tuesday, not to interfere with Thursday. I mean, if you want to incorporate it on a Thursday training, that's fine. But I wasn't looking to take away from anything that you all are doing, but just kind of add to it and give individuals another day where it's just specifically hands-on 5 to 10-minute tutorials. So I'm looking, like I said, not next week, then definitely the week after the 4th of July holiday.
I think you should do it on a Thursday. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
This is the Maurice and Jamal show.
No, that's what you named it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay, so hold up, wait a minute. So Jasmine, Martine, Nikki. So Jasmine and Martine, did you all know that there is a Maurice and Jamal show page on Facebook?
I think I came across it once when I was looking through all my pages that I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but so it's a real thing, y'all.
No comment.
Well, we appreciate that, Tasha. You making that page for us. We don't utilize it as we should. I'm busy playing on Facebook. I'm not sure what Maurice is doing, but definitely, yeah, you definitely feel free. I mean, if you guys want to have y'all a powwow on Thursday, trust me, I have no problem sitting on my hands.
Yeah, that'd be a good addition to Thursday, I think.
I agree. Anybody else agree? Everybody agrees. Great. So Thursday,
I agree.
10 agrees. All right. Well, we just wanted to share that with you guys because I saw it. And it was late one night when I saw it, and I'm like, this would be great. Just hear a different voice, get other training from other people that's on our team as well, on the team, because it's not just what we know, it's about a collective group, just kind of sharing information to help you grow your business.
Right.
Anybody have anything else to say before we transition? All right, cool. So everybody knows about the different places that are opening up right now. Does anybody know?
I saw Jamaica was starting to open up.
Yeah, Jamaica, Mexico.
Yes.
Um, but I think a lot of domestic places have been opened already, like domestic travel. Because what
Right.
I'm seeing like Branson, and this is stuff that just made the news. Branson, Panama City, Orange Beach. I've never heard of Orange Beach till a couple of weeks ago, but a lot of places are opening up. Anybody else familiar with any other places that's opening up?
Hawaii. Yesterday, the governor made an announcement. They have a planned reopening.
Mm-hmm.
So August 1st, people coming inbound have to have a negative COVID test prior to actually coming in. So let me see. I got it right here actually. 14-day quarantine. So they usually require a 14-day quarantine, even if you had with a negative test for Hawaii. But they're making changes now, doing like a phased reopening. So I guess a lot of places are, because I know MGM. I went to Vegas 2 weeks ago, and a lot of the hotels and casinos were open, but there were a number of them that were still closed. And then I see that MGM is planning to open some more hotels as well. So only thing is with domestic, we know that with COVID numbers are still on the rise. So
Yeah,
it's very possible that things can shut back down.
Yeah, April just mentioned, even though the country is open, does not mean the resort is open. She's absolutely right. So you're gonna
Right.
have slim pickings. Okay, Jasmine said Disney. Disney just opened back up. Are they opening back up? I'm not sure.
Disney World is opening. Disneyland is not opening yet. That was the last email that I had gotten today.
Okay, yeah, I know.
And I also did see that I don't believe Disney is not doing their park hops right now. I am not exactly 100% sure. But regarding Disney, I do know that Disneyland is pushed back their date, their opening date, and Disney World, if they're not already opening, they will be opening up soon with, restrictions and things like that.
You're correct. And they're also doing a phased approach where I think the first opening where like right now in the phase that they're in, I think it's maybe like a 40% capacity and then a 60% capacity until they get to 100%. So a lot of the places are still very limited to the amount of people that they'll allow into the park and to some of the resorts as well.
Okay, yeah. And how do y'all know all this stuff?
I
I'm
get
subscribed to
emails.
right, it's 1,000 emails.
So y'all read the emails. That's the point I'm trying to make. So guys, read your emails.
Emails, webinars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in the different tourism groups on Facebook or social media, if you're in contact with the BDM, all that stuff.
They just told you how to get all the information, and that's one thing that we can definitely utilize is all the resources that we have. And even with the different group that you may be in, it's always great to get information from other travel professionals to kind of see what's going on as well. You want to keep a pulse on it, because there's nothing like someone reaching out to you and asking you, where can I go? Has anybody gotten that where can I go yet? Has anybody gotten that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And a lot of us dealing with it, like for instance, I had no idea what Orange Beach, Alabama was. I heard of it, but I didn't know where it was at. I thought it was like some kind of something on a cartoon that my little girl watches. I thought it was a joke, like Orange Beach. What are you talking about? But just kind of keep your ears and eyes open to be able to, be that point of contact to send people places. Because I'm being totally honest with you. People are reaching out, and it's amazing because they're ready to go. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with a lot of issues.
That's
Um,
where my family in Mississippi goes for the weekend. So don't hate on Orange Beach. I'm just saying.
I'm not hating on it. I just never heard of it. April, I've never heard of it.
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm not versed in travel like you guys are. Matter of fact, I don't think I'm qualified to even share information on this platform. I think y'all need to be doing it. Anybody else want to say amen to that? I think they can't hear me. Okay. But anyway, I just found out about this tool right here from Maurice, and this is on Classic Vacation, and it kind of gives you an idea of which places are opening. So, you can come down here and this Classic Vacation. Anybody familiar with Classic?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, they real nice.
Yes.
I like them. And Maurice, when you talk to people at Classic, can you tell them to go 24/7 and 7 days a week?
Are they 24/7?
No, you should talk to them, and people listen to you.
Oh, you want me to talk through this?
Yeah, talk to them. I know the BDM, y'all probably hang out or something, go running or something. I don't know. But anyway,
Not yet.
I got you. But like for here, I just clicked on the Caribbean, and you have a drop down of places, and it'll tell you, which places are open. So I think this is a great tool to kind of use. I got a few guys that want to go Dominican Republic, and you could go look on all the websites. But if you want to save yourself some time or just have another resource, this is an awesome tool. And they telling you when they open. Can you guys see my screen? Because I got all this stuff popping up for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we see it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's showing you all the places that are open, and the health and safety info, the hotel details. Because as that April mentioned, the country may be open, but the resort may not be open. And I noticed like with one travel supplier, they post all the information on their website of hotel closures and reopenings. And like the lady says, check your emails. I know I get a ton of emails, and I know which properties I do like to get quotes from and book. I love those Playa resorts, and I like those AM resorts. So when I get those emails, I'll look. And depends on who you're dealing with when it comes to what travel supplier you're using. You might want to check their guidelines when it comes to cancellations and rebookings and things of that nature, because it's not really the travel supplier that dictates the refund. Sometimes it may be the airline which dictates the refund. Depends on what kind of refund, I mean, what kind of deposit you've done. But this is a great tool. Definitely use it. And you always can go to the supplier that actually, a lot of these properties are up under, like, Nickelodeon is up under Charisma. And you can go to their site, or you can even pick up the phone and kind of decide, let me call to kind of get, more detailed information, because this stuff is updated daily. Because it can say one thing today and be totally different tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure some of you ran across that already.
Yeah, and also to your point with the health and safety information, if you guys do have some people, like, so for the month of July, I have several group bookings that are still traveling, right? And one of the things that I had to kind of let them know or make them aware of, and just to let, as I was going through the new opening guidelines, is like, let's say for Jamaica for example, they are not allowing, let's just say, Uber and Lyft to come to the airport, right? You still need to wear a mask. They're going to go through all these different travel things. But also when you get to the resort, what once may have been a buffet, they may need to do reservations now, right? So they're doing like some resorts had reservations before, but some of the ones that may not have had reservations now will have reservations, so they can limit the amount of people or control the amount of people per hour that are in that enclosed space. So, if you guys can, look into those particular resorts so you can get your clients on the books, as far as, their dinner reservation times prior to them coming, that may be helpful as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And she's absolutely right. And that definitely you could use that as a selling point, as far as, kind of relaxing people. I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna have to make decisions on their own. And, we can't guarantee anything. Nobody can, with all this stuff going on. But just to have that extra information, you know what? I'm telling you, it really helps a lot of people make a decision, versus kind of still being leery. And even here, and I'm pretty sure if I'd have read the emails, I would have saw this. But this right here is a great tool. Um, the Crystal International Standards certification. The initiative addresses all aspects of resort operation and guest experience from welcome to departure. Each property has implemented the highest industry's latest prevention of the spread of infection audit solution. So these things you'll be able to use as you talk to clients. And me and some of you can do this yourself. You could even take that and make that a piece of content. And I may see some of y'all do it tonight, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I'll do it. Matter of fact, let me send it to myself right now. We're gonna do this right now. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, I'm being selfish. I'll do it later. Does anybody have any questions about this? Nobody had any questions. Great. So Maurice and I kind of brainstormed today. We talked about 4 times today. That's the most we talked today. But there's a lot of things that are out there to help us. And, like the lady said, a lot of emails come. And I know some things can get lost. I know for me they have. And it's real easy to reach out to someone and get that information. But is anybody familiar with ASTA?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I wasn't familiar with ASTA, okay? But ASTA, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, you're smarter than me, you made all A's. Is this the American Society of Travel Advisors? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Right. So they have a podcast. They did a podcast with Dan Chappelle. Is anybody familiar with Dan?
We're Facebook friends.
You probably know Dan, Nikki. You're so modest. But Dan Chappelle did a podcast with him, and I actually listened to this. So when Maurice brought it to my attention, I like, well, there's a good one where they're talking about how they're going to navigate and help and how they're navigating and helping other travel advisors through this right here, and it's a little older, and things probably changed since then. But we're going to share it with you guys. You know, you can go back and listen to it on this page if we don't get through it tonight, because it's about 20 minutes. And I'll probably stop it within 10 minutes, you know, to kind of get any feedback before we move forward and keep playing it. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Great. So give me a 1 if you can hear it when I start it, all right?
Today, I'd like to welcome Bob Douglan, who's the Vice President of International Membership and Host Agency for ASTA,
1.
the American Society of Travel Advisors. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's a pleasure to be with you. You're a legend in the industry, and I'm happy to be here today.
I don't know if I go as far as saying legend, infamous maybe, but well, I appreciate you taking time to come join us today and fill us in on what's happening with ASTA and everything. But hey, you've been in the business for a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Well, you know, I'm happy to do that. I've had a background in and out of travel for 35 years, started actually selling freight for American Airlines way back in the 80s when they were trying to compete with FedEx as a freight company as well. Kind of interesting. And I've owned a brick and mortar when I lived in Ohio, and spent a lot of time in the tech industry, even in the downturn of the early part of 2000s.
Right.
I got back into travel as an independent contractor and wound up being hosted by Nexion and met a gentleman by the name of Scott Kepp.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott wound up going over and becoming the president of NACTA, which was the forerunner of the ASTA Small Business Network. And I wound up joining NACTA. Then I started a chapter in South Florida here, which is now the ASTA South Florida chapter, and knock on wood, successful. And just kind of, you know, kept working for ASTA and NACTA through various roles up to where I'm at today. And it's just such a pleasure to work with travel advisors and people of a like mind. And I'm really happy to be here.
Well, that's fantastic, and we're glad that you do what you do because it makes it life a lot easier for a lot of people in the industry. So, on that note, you know, tell us a little bit about ASTA, what ASTA's been up to, and you know, why does it exist? How does it help agency owners? And I know in the last 6 months, not just right now, but you know, in recent history, ASTA's been heavily involved in governmental functions, I guess, in order to help the travel industry, well, basically independent contractor business, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us why we're here and what the relevance is of ASTA to the industry today.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You know, we were having this discussion 6 months or a year ago. We'd be talking about things like AB 5, Assembly Bill 5 in California that was affecting the ability of independent contractors to exist in that market under travel industry guidelines. Similar bills came up in New York and New Jersey.
So let me, if you don't mind, can you explain what that means, what that was and what that means and why that was significant to the industry?
Sure. Well, what had happened was in California, there was a trucking company that had converted all of their employees over to independent contractors. And what that did was it eliminated overtime, it eliminated all of their benefits, their Social Security, a tremendous amount of protections that they had. And, you know, California and one of the legislators there thought, okay, this is going to happen in other businesses and other industries. So what we're going to do is we're going to regulate independent contractors and eliminate that category of business. And they were only thinking of trucking. They were thinking of, you know, the gig economy, maybe Uber and Lyft were in on that. But they didn't realize there were businesses like real estate, like insurance, like travel agencies and travel advisors. They're going to be affected. So what we had to do was kind of rally the industry together, go to Sacramento, get our members behind the legislation, and then all the supplier community that's based in California, they got behind it as well. Princess, AMA Waterways, so many others. So it was very successful, and you know, getting an exemption in AB 5. And if that bill went through and we weren't exempted, then it would have, you know, basically ended host agencies' ability to work in the state of California. Mm-hmm. And you had New York, New Jersey looking to do the same thing. So we were fighting there also.
And so that's an ongoing battle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, it's all taken a back seat now with COVID-19.
Sure. So, for our listeners, ASTA, I think to a lot of folks, whether you're a travel agent, independent contractor, agency owner, a lot of folks think of ASTA as a training arm of the industry, but it's so much more than that. And the benefits that you're starting to see, as you mentioned with COVID, is really helping agencies and agency owners get through this crisis. What can you tell us about what ASTA is doing to support the industry there?
It's actually, we've had a lot to do with the CARES Act, Dan, and our advocacy team, Evan Peck and Genevieve Strand and Peter Lavasso, through our legislative days and our actions of the past few years, going up to Capitol Hill, meeting with congressmen and senators, when a crisis like COVID-19 hit, there were people we were able to call and say, hey, in these relief bills, if you're going to include airlines, you need to include the agencies that are ticketing them in these relief bills. And as a result, ticket agencies, which is the word they use for travel agencies, were mentioned specifically in the law. Also, for the first time, independent contractors are able to get unemployment compensation, under the CARES Act as well. So these were a lot of the things that ASTA was fighting for and successfully was able to get in a lot of the legislation. And then also in increasing those PPP funds that were out there. That first wave, Dan, they went real fast, and they went to people that really shouldn't be accepting them, a lot of large corporations that took advantage of the law. So we went back and were able to get more funding. And now that a lot of that PPP money is still there. So these are some of the key things that ASTA has been doing for, all sides of our community, from independent contractors up to the largest agencies.
So we're supporting for the PPP, for the Payroll Protection Program. What about the Emergency Economic Disaster Loan through, I believe it's a small business loan through FEMA?
Yeah, that went through FEMA, and also, you had the airlines that were getting their grants and their loans in there, which is where the ticket agencies were included, the travel agencies.
Okay.
So it's all different parts of that particular act.
Now, is this a one-time deal, or are there phases to this?
It's turning out there are definitely phases. The first phase didn't include a lot of the loans and the funding, and what we call round 2 included a lot more of that. Round 3 and round 3.5 included additional PPP funding, and now we're going for round 4, which is an extension of the unemployment compensation benefits, more money for the PPP, extending out the loan term from 2 years to 5 or 10 years, and also with the PPP program, people were only given 8 weeks to keep their payroll together.
Right.
And we're asking that now go through the end of the year. What good is it to bring people back if travel's not back and we're going to let them go again in July? So, we want an extension to that.
And this is just a continuing lobbying effort, because I think, so let's kind of backtrack a little bit about, what the mission of ASTA is. Because as I mentioned, from the agency side, you typically just see the front side, which is the training side. But tell us about the lobbying efforts and really where that comes into play.
And that's really the main reason that ASTA exists, Dan, is to be the travel industry's lobbying association. We're the only trade association out there specifically for travel advisors and travel agencies. And, it's like if there's no one to listen to you and make you a priority, you're going to get, shoved under the carpet along with all the other advocacy groups that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got companies with a lot bigger staffs or associations with a lot bigger staffs and a lot more money than ASTA has. So we have to be very smart in how we do it and how we get the word out. Fortunately, our very small but mighty advocacy team has been able to do that.
Cool. So you actually mentioned something that you're the only organization that's actually advocating for the travel agent, travel advisor. What about CLIA?
They're a great organization, but look at what the acronym is. That's the Cruise Line Industry Association. And while travel advisors are a very important part of that business, their main concern is the cruise industry and the health of the cruise lines, which it should be. They need a strong advocate.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing for people to realize, is that the mission of CLIA is the Cruise Line Industry Association. It's they do education as a part of that, but their role is to advocate for the cruise lines. Yep. And the USTOA, I believe, is a similar type of setup, in that while they have educational programs, their role is to advocate for their tour operator members.
Exactly. Yeah. And we all work together in times like this as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's a strength in numbers for sure. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here because we've been so caught up in the COVID thing and we've been caught up in a lot of this stuff that's going on. I know, you know, this is an ongoing debate that I see. It's been going on for years. As long as I've been in the business, it's been going on for years. What is the position of ASTA as far as it goes towards licensing of travel professionals and required education? You know, where I'm bringing this up is right now it's so easy to get into the business. I mean, anybody who can pretty much fog a mirror and write a check can be a travel, call themselves quote unquote a travel advisor or agent. And I use those terms interchangeably. So just so for those of you who, you know, they are ASTA's travel advisor. They changed the name about a year ago, I guess it was.
Yeah, year and a half now. Yeah.
But and the reason I use them interchangeably is because of the public still thinks of that in that vernacular. And at least as far as I'm concerned, there is a difference between an advisor and an agent as well. And,
Sure.
And we don't have to go into all that. But from a licensing standpoint, you know, you have insurance agents are licensed and are required to take continuing education. Real estate agents are required to do the same thing. Those that in different forms of healthcare have to be licensed and continue education. What is the feeling going on at ASTA about that?
Well, you know, Dan, we haven't taken an official stance on it, you know, but personally, I think looking at it, the more that we can professionalize our industry, you know, the better it's going to be for everybody, for clients, for suppliers, for travel advisors. And, you know, it's been a state by state battle with anything else. And, you know, Washington, California, Florida, New York, they all have state licensing with varying levels. And
Right.
in Florida, it's your ability to, as you mentioned earlier, write a check and send it in as much as anything else. You know, California is a little bit stricter. But one of the things we've done at ASTA is we've created a verified travel advisor program
Nice.
that kind of sets aside an ASTA travel advisor from other travel advisors. And the reason we've created this program is CLIA, nobody does cruising any better than CLIA does, and what you need to do to sell and what's involved. But the Verified Travel Advisor program, that's about agency relationships and the law. That's about how to run your business. That's about the mechanics of being a travel advisor and running a travel agency. So we think, you know, that kind of training will go a long way toward, you know, satisfying what a requirement would be to be a licensed real estate agent or a licensed insurance agent. Because the VTA program, it's not a fluff course. You know, it's something that you really have to study to get through in terms of, you know, the legalities and some of the terms.
Right. Because I've seen that there are organizations, I mean, we used to call them cardinals, direct marketing programs, things like that that come in because, and I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm a huge advocate. There's as many business models and ways to make money as there are different travel products. And this is, you know, it's free market economy. I'm not as opposed to what people refer to as rebating as a lot of others do because there are different business models that incorporate different things. So who are we to, or me, who am I to tell someone else how they should be running their business? But I think that, you know, from the public standpoint, I do believe that, you know, having some sort of licensing certification, something that is not just, you know, you sign on a piece of paper and all of a sudden, boom, you're a travel agent with no training, no product knowledge, no nothing else to go out there. And I think that's kind of what gives the, I don't want to say a bad name to some, but the profession is not as viewed as professionally, I think, as some others are because we don't necessarily have that, those checks and balances in the system.
And that's where we try to differentiate the, you know, the ASTA membership and kind of raising the bar up. You know, our members get used to the ASTA logo, and that really is like a good housekeeping seal of approval. You know, we're able to, if there are problems, you know, we're able to help mediate, you know, with any members. Something that's been new in the last year or so is we require all members to take the ethics course.
Oh, awesome.
So, you know, that kind of raises that bar. And then Erica Richter, our publicity director, actually, she's just down the road from me in Portland. She's done a pretty amazing job in working with a lot of the major media at getting travel advisors in the news. And we have a website called travelsense.org, which is where consumers can go and find travel advisors and even chat with them on that particular site. And you'll find that's been mentioned in Forbes, USA Today, NBC, NPR, anything that has initials in it that's in the broadcasting world.
Well, we'll be sure and stick that in the show notes when we're done here so that people can definitely reference that. Now, are those professionals that are part of the travelsense.org to be able to find that? Do they have to be part of the Verified Travel Advisor program?
They don't have to be the VTA, the Verified Travel Advisors. They are listed first because they've taken those courses. But
Right.
you don't. All you have to do is to be an ASTA member and have agreed to abide by the code of ethics, and then fill out your online profile to be listed. And it's geocache. You know, if you've got somebody in Seattle that wants to take a Galapagos cruise, it'll pull that person up first.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
That's something that I think we can all appreciate as well, because we want to keep, you know, part of the being, even though it's with technology, we can be all over the place, just like you and I are. You're in Fort Lauderdale, I'm in the Seattle area. A lot of folks, they like to do business local. I like to shop local. I'd like to support folks nearby, so that is awesome. What is the future of, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but what do you think the future kind of looks like for not necessarily the industry, but ASTA going forward?
Well, certainly, you know, the future, I think, is very bright, both for the industry and for ASTA. We're going to get through this very difficult time together. The world will change a little bit, but, you know, we'll change along with it. We've also been really fortunate, Dan, that a lot of the consortium, the host agencies, and the community has seen the work that ASTA's done since the beginning of March. And we're up almost 2,000 new members in that
Wow.
time period, which is unprecedented in our history.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is coming from, let's say, the hosts and the consortia that realize the job that we've done to try and assist them with the PPP loans and the EIDL loans, and also the unemployment compensation. You know, if you're an ASTA member, you can go to asta.org, go into the coronavirus resources, and find what the links are in 54 states and territories to figure out how to file for unemployment compensation. So those are the kind of resources that we're making available. You know, information on the PPP loans, and I'm just working now with my colleagues on putting together lists of what loans and grants are available across 50 states in each municipality. There are a lot of private industry grants out there, and it's a daunting task. There's literally thousands of resources out there, but we want to make them available for our members.
One thing I'm hearing a lot of it from folks is they couldn't get the PPP loan because their local bank ran out of money. So,
Yep.
So where do you find them? And I had a friend of mine, Lynn Clark, was on from Travel Leader Journeys, and she was telling me that through her TAMS group, they couldn't get the loan locally, but they were able to find a bank in, I think, Salt Lake City. So they're in Milwaukee. They found a bank in Salt Lake City that was able to help out with that. And those are the kind of resources I think that are important that we have out there for folks to find.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that we put all of this into the show notes, folks, that with all the links at the ASTA site, as well as for everything else that we have. Now, one thing, we didn't really talk about this before, but I've noticed that the consortia membership and involvement has skyrocketed, even before this started, I think. Tell me what's fueling that and how that's really been working here.
Well, you know, a lot of it goes back to the advocacy work. And I think Alex Sharp was the first at Signature, where they mandated membership. Gosh, that's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. And not long after that, Virtuoso also agreed they would pay for membership. And then a lot of the regionals, Westa, Advanced, American Marketing Group out of Long Island, Travel Leaders, they've all kind of signed on. And then for the host agencies, it's a natural, particularly coming from, you know, the NACTA Heritage, which is now the ASTA Small Business Network. You know, we've got such a large network in that area.
So tell me a little bit more about the ASTA Small Business Network, because that's where your roots are from in the ASTA family. And I participated in that quite a bit back in the day. And I know Scott Kemp and Mary Clegg and a lot of folks we know mutually were involved in that organization.
Well, sure. That was absolutely, that was my roots when I came in with Scott, and then, you know, through Mary and Ann Chamberlain, who I miss working with very much. But what we did when ASTA rebranded, to the American Society of Travel Advisors a couple of years ago, we thought, why not bring NACDA into the fold? And we went out to the NACDA chapter presidents at that time, asked them what they thought, and they all agreed almost unanimously that we should fold in under ASTA, take advantage of things like the Travel Sense website that's out there, get involved with the advocacy, be part of a larger organization. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny being from a sales background, Dan, you would kind of get this. When I was doing business development at sales with NACDA, I'd have to go and I had to explain the history and the background of everything else, whereas ASTA was a household name, right? That more or less kind of it sold itself at that point. But with the ASTA Small Business Network, what we found is that a lot of the members of both ASTA and the Small Business Network had similar business models, and it's really worked well together in a lot of areas. Seattle chapters have combined, South Florida, Arizona, and we've got about 55 chapters throughout North America where people can get together on a monthly basis. It used to be physical meetings in rooms and trade shows. That's kind of on pause right now. But what we're finding is not only we had new chapters coming on board these last couple of months, but everybody, they're getting on to Zoom, they're getting on GoToMeeting, and they're using all these platforms. And in some cases, people are more involved now than they were with a physical meeting, because you know what it's like when you live in a metro area. Yeah. You don't want to drive at rush hour from one end of town to the other. So now we're finding people from Miami and West Palm Beach that would normally come to a South Florida meeting in Fort Lauderdale. Everyone will get involved.
I spoke at the chapter here in Seattle a couple of times over the years.
Oh, great.
And it was down in Tequila, which is down near the airport.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Did anyone have, and that's pretty much it right there. Did anyone have any questions or takeaways from any of the things he was saying?
I think just in general, being just like what they do, because I've known about them for a while, but didn't know about them. Like I knew of them, but not knew about them. And, like he gave the example, like what they did in California, that was huge. That was huge for all the California agents. And then they tried to do it, I believe it was in New Jersey. It was a New England state. They tried to do the same thing, pass the same thing. And they were like, no, that's what we're not going to do. And so just probably since I was in college, I've always known that it is always important to be a part of a professional organization that you're associated with. Whatever you studied in school, you wanted to be a part of that organization because they do things that we don't know about. We even hear now, for different stuff and laws and things like that. And it was like, call your senator, call this person, call that person. And we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes or everything that's going on in the world. This is what they do. They have people that's out there protecting us. Okay, I get off my soapbox now.
No, that was good, Nikki. I love to hear your passion when you deliver a message. But thank you for sharing. Anyone else? I think it's just me and you, Nikki. Well,
yeah, that was huge. That was huge, though, Nikki. As far as California, I think it was New Jersey. Was the other state.
Okay.
And just for him to talk about, the advocacy as far as getting things passed in Congress when I guess the travel suppliers got bailed out, where the airlines got bailed out, and talking about how, what about the travel agents, the ticketed agents, what they call us. So that was huge because it's so much stuff out there. And, I would tell you guys, like Nikki said, it's always nice to be a part of a group a community that supports whatever you're doing. So I have to commend, ASTA. I've never heard of them. Probably just heard of them maybe like 6 months ago. But just to see the things that they're doing, on our behalf, it kind of makes you tip your hat and say, okay, yeah, people out there that do care. It's not about the big guys, because we keep things going for the big guys.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And there's and I think probably ASTA is the more known one, but there's a lot of associations, Professional Travel Agents of North America, and just so many different organizations that we can be, you know, a part of and really just know. And, you know, and that also helps to expand what we know as an agent. You know, iron sharpens iron, you know, and just being around other people and really understanding what our industry is about. This is a, what, $12 billion industry, you know, if not more at this point. I mean, it might be a little lower now, but it still is.
I think we trillion or billion.
Trillion.
Okay, we're in the trillions. Okay, we're in the T's. I mean, we might be in the billions now. We'll see after COVID. But in all honesty, it's like, you know, and we don't know all the facets and everything that's going on. I mean, you think about what's going on with travel in your city, in your state, in your country, and like, you know, the our continents, our part of the world, and then internationally, like how everything is going. And yeah, it's overwhelming. You talked about the emails earlier, and like I get a lot of emails, you know, from different ones, and I try to stay abreast, but I'm like, it is so overwhelming, and it is a lot, you know, to take in everything. So it is great to have organizations like these to, you know, when they have conferences, bring people together, make their members, you know, understand like this is what's going on. We're here for you. So it's like sometimes when you see prices, yeah, we'll get a little, ooh, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But understand what that organization is going to do for you and what you have access to. No, you might not live in California, but I said that if that law had passed in California, how many other states would it have gone to next?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, and when it did not pass, I said somebody else might try it. But I said, as big as California, I think they might think a little, you know, twice about it and be a little more hesitant to try it. But these people were like, no, this is what we're not doing here. We're not doing this.
Yeah, that would have really hurt
Mm-hmm.
a lot of independent contractors, agents, advisors.
Exactly.
And a lot of people. But that's a good point, because I mean, you have to invest in your business. So is it free to join these, you know, to get these memberships or join these organizations? No, but it's well worth it when the resources that you have access to, as far as webinars, information, networking with other people in the industry. I mean, it's really well worth the investment for your time and your money. ASTA right now, I was just looking, as of June 20th, they're doing 45% off on the VTA program to, you know, get a certification through ASTA. I know the Travel Institute right now is giving 50% off scholarships. You have to apply for it to get a CTC, Certified Travel Consultant, CTA, Certified Travel, I think they call it advisor now, if I'm not mistaken, or your CTIE, which is a Certified Travel Industry Executive certification. And they give them 50% off scholarships. You just got to apply for it. So, and it doesn't take any, I applied for it and I got it. I'm pretty sure it is, because they do this every year around this time, actually. So if you can invest in yourself and your business, definitely do so, because it'll help in the long run.
And those things are tax deductible anyway.
There you go. It's an investment in your business. Yep. That was April, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Thanks, April.
Of course.
Anyone else? Well, it's 8:55, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I will do better with getting these recordings up. I know I said that last time, but I'm serious this time. But if anybody doesn't have anything else to say, I want to say have a good night and stay safe, and stay consistent in whatever you're doing to make your business grow. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.